Texas is that's a big place. It's nice, beautiful. I've been there a couple times, a couple business deals. Yes, ma'am, Monica. Hi, I have a Telegram. All of my social media is linked on my website, and my website is on my profile page of TikTok. And I have a lot of playlists too on my profile page as well. You're very welcome. Feel free to browse around. All of them have different, I use them as different tools depending on what social media it is. I'm mainly active on TikTok, but Telegram, Truth Social, and like this live will be on YouTube as well once I finish it. When I wrap up, I'll post it up on YouTube. So all my TikTok lives, the videos on there, my audio goes on Telegram. But also I exchange files, media, little video clips and stuff on Telegram. That's why I started using Telegram. Well, I started using Telegram because I thought TikTok was going to go out. Like it was they were talking about banning it, for a while, pretty heavy there. And I think it's still actually an active consideration to ban TikTok. Mic check. How's the music? Is it too loud? I'm playing it from my phone. Hi, how you doing, T-Bone Huber? It's fine, good. Glad to hear. It's like it's a little loud out here for me, but I think when I play it later on the live in my car, it won't be that bad. Cool. That's all that matters. This is for y'all. This Charles show is set up and not paid for and sponsored of y'all to help y'all out. So the first person to pronounce it right, T-Bone Huber. Yeah. Well, it's almost like humor is what it sounds like when you say T-Bone Huber. Music is good, awesome. Well, if I was a DJ, I'd take music requests, but I just kind of got a playlist that I kind of rotate through. And I think it's so funny that when I post it on YouTube, Russia is the only country that won't allow my YouTube videos to air in their country because of the music that I play, which is very interesting. So I wonder if I was playing nothing but like Russian music, if they'd allow me to. That's the only country on earth apparently has an issue with my YouTube. Interesting enough, huh? So how's everybody doing? It's Friday. I hope everybody's enjoying my content. I got a little behind for a week because I had a lot going on, and like I said, I try to post one video a week and go live once a week just to make sure everybody's doing all right and needing help. And also help if y'all need to reach out. You can DM me, you can email me, you can call me on my website. I got all kinds of ways to get at me. So I hope had an interesting week. Went on a couple dates. I been working out. I've noticed my intake of plant matter has increased tremendously since I started working out. I am surprised how much fruits and vegetables I can eat from working out. Like, it's just a massive increase. It's pretty interesting. And what's cool about the body being the temple is when you break things down, because everything micro to macro, it's all like a reverberation, a reflection, an amplification of the one within, without, with light and love and everything. Like everything's tied together. This triangle, everything's tied together. So what's cool about the body is if you tear it down, I mean, the Creator's showing you on the natural level what you can do in the spiritual level, right? So if you tear your body down, you break it down, it can be rebuilt properly and stronger, right? So you sacrifice your body and you put the right nutrients in a little bit of time, and the Creator gives an increase, right? So you actually it's showing what you can do, because the spiritual is somewhat of a mirror of the natural, and our two bodies, and it's a reflection of how when you self-sacrifice or destroy or in the proper way, right? There's always a different paths for everything. If you do it properly, you will be back stronger. You will be rebuilt stronger. Your temple will come back more predominant, especially in that one area that you were focusing on. So, and that's what happened since I've started working out. The amount of plant protein and intake that I've been taking to rebuild my muscles has dramatically increased due to tearing down the temple, tearing it up. The body is the temple inside and out. And I'm probably going to release a video about that in a couple of weeks, about getting into the body being the temple and how it's linked to spirituality and stuff like that. Remy, you said you've been craving nothing but fruit for a few months. That's that could be a bad sign, in all honesty, Remy. And I'm not trying to put any bad juju out there, but I have more than not, right? So I've had a few people that have had issues with craving sweets, and I am by no means saying that this is the issue with you, but I'm trying to do my own assessment on. I think cancer needs sugar and craves sugar, and like I said again, I'm not saying this is what's going on, but just since we're on this topic, cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment, and of course, with Wi-Fi and all the other, cell phone signals and all that stuff, I've seen people that go into the hospital and then they crave nothing but carrot juice or just sweets. They want cake, they want pie, they want nothing but sugar, and it's like the cancer cells are craving that. And according to Dr. Sebi, and I like him. He is somewhat racist. I don't agree with the racist side of him, but I love his works, and I actually use that as some of my foundational teachings of the alkalinity of the body, because we do have a pH balance, right? And if you starve out that oxygenation, or starve out the cells that are craving that sugar, you can beat it. And he proved in court that he cured all kinds of things from all these diseases, everything that ails people, by switching to this raw, vegan, alkaline, whole type foods. Now, again, like I said, I'm not saying that's what's going on. I wish I actually ate more fruits. My diet does not have a whole lot of fruits in it, but it's mainly some processed plants, which I wish it was a little less processed, but a lot of salads, a lot of oats, nuts, legumes, and vegetables and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm glad you know what I'm talking about. I've had family, like I said, that in the hospital going through something severe, and then they just suddenly, their bodies were craving that sugar in an insane level. And now, of course, the medical field is not geared to try to cure anything. They want to make lifelong clients, right? Because that's what's most beneficial to them. So they get you in there, and I think chemo is the only type of remedy that the hospital basically subscribes, that they get kickback. The doctors get a percentage of it's like a monetary incentive to put people on chemo, and they never ever teach how to cure or truly heal anything. But Remy, I do appreciate you sharing my duet in my video. My spiritual stuff, TikTok does not want that stuff going out. It is just on pumped brakes. It is I'll put out this great groundbreaking, earth-shattering, life-changing spiritual development video, and I get 100 people that like it, and it's but I can get on here and talk about commerce. I start talking about that money, that stuff that binds everybody, that stuff that everybody loves. I'm talking hundreds of thousands all day long. T-Bone Huber, I have to agree. I've been only want fruits and vegetables. Meat bean making me feel gross. Oh, meat's been okay. Yeah, meat. And I say this on my lives. My path isn't for everybody, right? We're all on our own paths. My research has shown that we are not built to just grab a deer and start chewing on it, in the wild. There's no other animal out there that uses fire that I know of to cook something until it's edible. And that's what we do with meat, is we basically cook it until the point that it's actually edible. And, think about that. And also, how everything's linked and combined. So I thought it was beautiful about the Jungle Book. and one of my teachers, my old mentors, he used to do this with all the freaking movies, because the elites and the spiritual leaders and stuff like that, they have to put stuff out through harmonic exposure to let y'all know what they're doing and how everything's tied together and linked. But what was cool about the Jungle Book was, out of all of the animals, right, because our natural body is tied to the natural realm with the animals. And one of the things that separates us from the animals is the fire flower, the red flower, I think is what they called it, which was humans have control over fire. And I was actually talking about fire in my last live, because in this triangle, fire's in the center with us, because the Creator is fire. We are one with it and with Him. So fire is a very powerful and important element to understand. And in the Jungle Book, humans had control of the fire flower, which is so interesting when you start to break down the spiritual realm and how we're able to have dominion over the land, air, and water, over equity, admiralty, and common law, over natural, spiritual, and commercial, like everything, right? Once you get to a certain level, you become the master of the realities. And again, like I said, it was just cool that the only animal that had dominion was the one that had power over fire, and that's what we do. We have power over fire. So Remy, bro, when I seen that you put what I've been trying to put into words, yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad. And you know what, I've been wanting to do this, and I'm not sure the best way to release this. So a lot of people, because the Bible has a natural, spiritual, and a commercial interpretation to it, a lot of people don't know how to read and see things. So, and I can actually prove physically that what I'm saying is true if you look at, I think it's called the Sistine Chapel. And I think they have the creation story painted in the Sistine Chapel. So let me look this up real quick. Paintings. Yes. So in the Sistine Chapel, if you look at the first day of creation, you will see the creation of Adam, man, the first day, the first stage is receiving the Holy Spirit. But in the Sistine Chapel, you'll see that there's a brain, and the angels are reaching through the brain to touch Adam to give that spark of life. Like, that is the Creator revealing where, through Golgotha, the skull, the consciousness is where the spiritual gateway kind of flows through. And once you start understanding the spiritual interpretation of the scripture, when it comes to Noah and the ark, the animals were people. And if you look at the Sistine Chapel, it shows Noah's ark. There is tons of people. It's not just the 8. The 8 were the spiritual people, but the rest of the cargo and people that were on the ship or were considered cattle, were animals. Because you gotta remember, people all through the Bible, the Creator is calling people different types of animals, because it depends on like what you do. Like, there's oxes out there that are real strong. There's bulls that are mean. There's lions that can tackle and tangle and conquer almost anything and stuff like that. So in the Bible, when you read it naturally, it's talking about a lion, or it's talking about a lamb, or it's talking about a sheep, or it's talking about a cattle. But when you interpret it spiritually, these are all different types of people. They're all different types of organizations. When you convert it commercially, it's talking about different types of commercial entities, different types of businesses. You got your BlackRocks, you got your Vanguards. Those are like the beasts of the field. These are the giant corporations that kind of run and control everything. So anyway, I can pull up the Sistine Chapel and show where the stuff that I'm talking about, and that's what was so cool. When the Bible became unlocked to me, I was locked in a cell. Like, I had no contact or outside ability to look up or verify anything. And then I started unlocking scriptures and unlocking the Bible and starting to understand how everything is interwoven and actually works. And then when I saw the Sistine Chapel, I was like, boom, mind blown, because I've always known that there are a lot of people who are awake. And the truth about how that works is a lot of people aren't led to do what I'm doing. Like, I've had this knowledge for very many, many, many years, but I just haven't released it. And it's the time has now come to release this knowledge, and that is what I am here to do. So, but anyway, if I show you all the Sistine Chapel, blow your mind. It will show you all the stuff that I'm talking about. They have the creation story and all that stuff. It shows where the brain, the spirit, the angels are coming through the brain, where the Ark of the Covenant, the most holy place is, of the temple of the body. It shows where the ark from Noah. It's just all the people are the animals. You know, the Creator is calling people animals all throughout the Bible. It's allegory. So, but everything's all linked. And I just said in my last video, divine reflection and amplitude, how it's all magnified from within, without. We're all one. Everything's tied together cohesively through this triangle, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, I'm glad that I could put some of the words that you were trying to put out. Yes, we are chattel, but that's the commercial. So like our straw man, Remy, is the chattel. That's our corporation, and corporations have parents, they have children, they have, like I said, in a commercial level, legislatively, there's entities all out there, and all you need is the vessel and a whole name and number in order to sail upon the seas of commerce. And it doesn't. You can do it privately, publicly. You can do it internationally. You can. It's up to you. So Remy, and the recent beef recall and the cheap burgers day that just happened. Let me tell you about my first wife. So my first wife was from Russia, and she came over here and she was working McDonald's, and she said that it is very unnatural, the food that is going through that business. And she said that a French fry will never ever get moldy, which is kind of unusual. You can leave it anywhere. You can put it in a windowsill, and it will. Has anybody ever seen a McDonald's fry with mold? She said she's never seen one, so I don't know. And then she said the burgers, it's almost like they were. She said if you get a frozen McDonald's burger, and I don't know why they were doing this. I guess they were just having fun. If you get a frozen McDonald's burger and you heat up a pan till it's red hot, and then you throw that burger in there, she said it will turn into a plastic, like hard plastic. Like you could almost like, I don't know. She said it was real gross. Like she said she stopped eating that stuff after that kind of stuff. But we are, Remy, we are chattel. In one sense, we can be cattle, we can be livestock, we can be beasts of the field, we can be in one accord with the Creator, go through the seventh stage in the rainbow body and become basically create judgment on this earth. You can, it's up to us to take these steps and to improve our body and mind and soul and edify the consciousness to walk with the Creator closer, right? And depending on how far you walk with Him and how much you grow is basically the where you'll be at in life, And everybody's on their own paths, T-Bone Huber, we are chattel when we identify as the straw man. Well, I would say that we are deceived into thinking that we are that corporation. We can't be that corporation. That is the U.S. citizen is just a trust, and it's hard to, once you start becoming awake, it's hard to sever the understanding that you are not that corporation, you are not that entity. It was always just a tool that you could use. And I tell everybody this over and over again, it's just a tool. You don't have to use it, you can use it. I thought it was an enemy. Like, I looked at it like it was this creature, this ens legis that I did not want to touch. I didn't want nothing to do with. I tried to separate myself from it. I tried to take it out of the system. I tried to do all this stupid stuff that it's frivolous. It's great to learn things, but it's not yours to do that stuff with. It's just a tool that was given that you can use if you want, but you don't have to. And you can dock it. There's so many people that I know of that don't engage in public for-profit commerce, and they don't have any tax liability. They're outside of the system. Their straw man is not being used, at all. So they're able to engage in activities without having any tax liability. You were Remy was talking about the burger turning to plastic. Yeah, she said it turned into like a black plastic, and it's gross. And when she said that, I remember one time I was eating with her. We were at Burger King, and she said she felt like she stuffed toilet paper in her stomach. Like, so this is how powerful the mind is. I ate the burger, and I was fine. And then I look at her, and I'm like, are you okay? She said, I feel like I just stuffed toilet paper into my stomach. And then when she said that, I started thinking about the burger and the food and how gross it is, and it started making me feel sick. It was gross. And when my first wife said that the burger turned to plastic, I remember seeing little pustule pockets on the McDonald's burgers every time that I used to eat them back before I went vegan. I remember seeing those and they almost look like a plasticky bubble that that are in them. Oh my, ugh. And don't even get me started on the people that zoom in to the French fries using a microscope and stuff like that, and all these little fibers that are in it, red and blue, and this stuff is gross, man. When you start becoming awake and you start to put stuff under the microscope, I mean, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about everything. You start putting corporations under the microscope. You start putting people's actions and their come from and reality. You start dissecting and breaking things down. It's hard to go back to sleep because it's man, how did I not know this or see this before? It's why was I so blind to all what was going on and around us? It's so crazy. T-Bone Huber, right? Don't tread on me. Hey, how you doing? How is jurisdiction challenged in district courts being sovereign? Well, it's simple. They don't have jurisdiction over a human. They only have jurisdiction over the corporate entity that they created, and that's what is ledgered and lodged the charge and complaint against. Now, this stuff only works if there is not a damaged party, and commercially, that does mean if you caused property damage or stole money, Federal Reserve notes or whatever, that's a damaged party, and there is actually a harmed entity that needs to be made whole. When there is if there is no damaged party, which basically means that there is some infraction or some code that they're trying to enforce, which there's 10 billion public policies, codes, statutes, and rules, none of which we are bound by. That's how you challenge jurisdiction, is you basically pull back the corporate veil. That's what you say. You pull back the corporate veil and you basically say that I'm not a corporation. A corporation is what is bound by this stuff. And you can come in, you've always been the authorized representative. You've been the LAR your entire life, which is the legal authorized representative for that entity. You can come in as the LAR and settle, and close, or discharge any debt obligation as long as there is not an injured party, right? And as long as typically you're not dealing with the feds either. They play pretty dirty. They don't care. They have unlimited assets to cause issues in your life. But typically, you can set off, settle, and close, discharge any debt obligation that the U.S. citizen has issues with. But challenge and jurisdiction, there's three different jurisdictions, right? There's equity, there's common law, and there is admiralty. And typically they're flying a military mercantile flag that is infringed, and you can invoke any jurisdiction you want, but typically they're operating under codes, policies, and public statutes of international UCC type stuff. And you can challenge any jurisdiction at any time because we are actually the masters and authors of all. So we control all these, and they're bound by all these public policies, codes, and statutes of the international that you can invoke on them. So, all right, T-Bone Hubert, that's where I'm trying to get. Where are you trying to get, buddy? I'm sorry, I'm a little lost. Don't tread on me. Is bringing the birth certificate when they ask where is John Doe thought about challenging? You can bring that in, you can, but typically here's what happens. Judges are gatekeepers that know all of this stuff, right? And they try to stay in harmony, and their first duty, and this is why, guys, it takes time to understand all this stuff. It takes time. I tell a lot of people, don't just try to walk up in court and do something like that, because you're going to upset the judge, right? His job is to protect the public. He has sworn an oath to protect the public. His first duty and obligation is not to care about you or your feelings or what you're going through. It is to protect the public. That is what he has sworn an oath to. He hasn't sworn an oath to you. He is just your servant. Now, when you come in waving a birth certificate or come in talking about the U.S. citizen as a corporation, you got to understand that this system has been established for a purpose and a reason. This system binds and keeps all the sheep in place and in check and keeps everybody calm and docile and asleep. And that is the system that he has sworn to uphold and protect. And you start coming in there and start waving freaking the U.S. citizen is a corporation. I'm a sovereign on this earth, blah, 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 blah. He's going to be really upset, especially if there's sheep around you that he doesn't want you infecting. And I say infecting is because a lot of people can't handle this. And the truth is that through education and knowledge and effort, we can all become awake if we take the time to put in what it takes, and nobody wants to govern themselves. You can't just go up to a random person and say, hey, guess what? You can take 1/10 of your Social Security estate and go through the DTC and you'll never have to work again. No, it's going to cause people would start riots. The system is in place to bind everybody, but it also can set you free if you know how everything works and is interlocked and is regulated. So when you come in with a birth certificate, it's going to upset the judge unless you do it when you reserve your rights. You're in private. You stand up and you say, would it be wise to handle private matters in the public like this? And you move the court because you have to take control of the court. And guys, here's the truth. You control the court, but you have to take control of it. If you don't take control of it, the judge will, and he will handle you. He will handle you like a basketball and slam dunk your tail and put you in jail. Okay? You have to be very well versed, very, very learned, and understand courtroom mechanics if you're going to try to take control of a court. It is not for the meek. It is not for the weak. It is not for the uneducated. It is for those that know how to embody and embrace the truth and sovereignty that they are the one on this earth, and there is nobody other than the Creator that flows through them above them. Because we're all fractals of the Creator. We are basically a exact copy duplicate of the one and all. So if you're going to come in there, you got to take control of the court. You got to know all the mechanics, and waving a birth certificate is just going to get you, make him upset. Yes, he knows you're not the U.S. citizen. There is no judge that I know of on earth that thinks you are a corporation. When you walk in there and say, hey, here's, I'm not this, they know that. That's 101 for a judge. That is the very beginning. But also, they're very, very well trained in UCC law and how to get you under their jurisdiction. And they know all kinds of tips, tricks, and traps of the trade to get you under their jurisdiction. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The paperwork that you put in is irrelevant if you don't know how to embody the sovereignty. Okay? So you can put all the paperwork you want, you can line the court with paperwork from one end to the other, and with wallpaper, glue it, put it up on the wall, all you want. And it ain't going to mean a hill of beans if you don't know how to embody and embrace what you are trying to move with the court. All right, so don't tread on me. Yes, they are using tribunal flags in the courts here. Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere. Those infringed flags, they are everywhere. Don't tread on me. I'm trying to figure out if he is a judge or an administrator. He's both. You can appoint him, or you can allow him to be any of those things. Basically, he's an administrator. If you take control of the court, and he will be the judge if he takes control of the court. So you basically have to take control of the court, and he's just a facilitator. I've had a lot of people that have gone through courts and helped people that go through courts and try to educate people. And judges, there's this one judge that said, I am just a facilitator. He is the neutral party that is allowing the two opposing parties to come up with an agreement. And that is the whole purpose of a public courtroom system, is because there is a dispute in the public that couldn't be handled. And I tell people to try to come up with a good resolution outside of court, because if you're going to go to court and you're going to try to get the judge to make decisions for you, then you're not going to have a very good remedy or outcome, because the judge or the court's rules and decisions is not going to be what you think is best for you. It's going to be what he thinks is best between the two parties. And you got to come up with an agreement outside of the court in order to have the best cohesive agreement if it has already been lodged in the public. All right, so Remy, yeah, I tried. It's hard. Yeah, it's not easy to convey what is all in one and all. I listen to some of my videos. I listen to my lives, And I'm like, why did I make mistakes, but I just keep going. I used to be real OCD and try to get everything perfect, and that's just, it's not reality sometimes. Stuff is messy. Life is messy. It gets crazy. Some days are magic, some days are tragic. All right, don't tread on me. The judge told me I'm in their jurisdiction when I come to court, even if I reserve my rights. All right, then the judge is making an offer. And then you can say, okay, so if that's how you're going to play, then and if you're not offering any remedy upon which relief can be granted or any charge upon which relief can be granted, then I will allow you to pay all of the duties and obligations that the U.S. citizen incurs, since you're not allowing for remedy. Like you can do anything like that. Anything that the judge says is just an offer. And you have to know how to either respond with a question properly or put him back in his place. And they are going to try you. They are going to try you and test you and see if you know what is really going on. But if you properly reserve your rights and you properly ask questions, and as king, you can move the court to your remedy. Now, get this: if there was a charge for the U.S. citizen, and you have to settle the account. There's an account that has been opened that has a charge tied to it, and it must be settled somehow. Okay, so whenever you're in front of a judge, all they need is your permission. The whole system works off of our agreement. Everybody's in jail because they agreed and signed and went in. Now, granted, like I said, if there's an injured party, it's a little different. Now, when there's a charge against a U.S. citizen, all you have to do is come in there and settle, and close the account. So you ask the judge if you reserved your rights and you've maintained your sovereignty and you're moving the court in your direction. You say, okay, where would you like me to sign to allow you authorization to balance the books? Because it is just a commercial account. And you can say, prove me wrong. Prove me that this is not a commercial affair. Prove to me that there's not a monetary value attached to any of these things. Furthermore, guess what? If you remain in admiralty, you can go after the judge because he's dealing in commerce and he is no longer immune, even with his oath. So judges typically don't want you to remain in admiralty or invoke that type of international. That's why I love that there's a public and a private side on all these things, because you can do. Oh my gosh! If y'all just knew how to embody this triangle, always in and out, y'all have so much power. I wish you understood. When the judge, so let me back up. T-Bone Humor. Where did? Third party. Sorry, I got to go backwards. He told me to come back in here arguing the judge jurisdiction. All right, Remy. He told me don't come back in here arguing the UCC. This is municipal court. That's funny. Remy, guess what? He understands UCC code, and all corporations are bound by them. You can invoke them as long as it's not a superseding jurisdiction or private outside of that. Typically, all public entities are bound by those things. He's sworn an oath to the public, and the public uses different public policies, codes, and statutes. He's bound by all that stuff. You can invoke that. But he's very well learned in UCC. He knows UCC law. Judges are trained in that. He is basically a facilitator that is an administrator to just oversee the matters. Don't tread on me. Does the I don't understand and I don't consent and I don't plea work in court? That is one of the 78 billion things that you could say. Yeah, that is definitely one of the things. But again, if you don't know how to embody and embrace the sovereignty, it doesn't matter what you say or do. He's just going to wipe the floor with you, or she. There's female judges. You have to be able to move the court in your direction through favorable actions, right? It's a game. It's court. What do you do in court? You play games. It's a basketball court. It's a tennis court. What kind of game do you want to play? When the judge makes an offer, that is a tennis ball hit to your side of the court. If he says that I don't accept UCC code in here, and he hits the ball back to you, what are you going to do? It's your turn. It's your turn in the court. What are you going to do? You can hit him back. You can hit him hey, guess what? I heard you were bound by all these public policies, codes, and statutes because you swore an oath to uphold it. Boom, hit it back to him. Then what is he going to do? He could confess and avoid, which means what time was he pulled over? That means that he's changed the subject. He hit it back. Then you go, oh no, hold on. Did you hear what I said on the record? I said you're bound by these public policies, codes, and statutes, buddy, not me. So what are you going to do about it? I'm telling you, there's 78 billion ways to handle every single court case. There's 4 doors for every offer. Everything the judge says is a different way to get a remedy. You can accept, you can conditionally accept, you can argue, or you can stay silent whenever he says something. And I have people that they come in strong. It's intimidating, guys. It's very intimidating being in front of a judge. We've been taught our whole lives that we are subjects, slaves, serfs, and servants, right? So you go in front of a judge and you try to go, I'm the man. This is my court. Throw down a flag. Say, this is, American soil. You're operating under British monarchy. Kick rocks, blah, 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 whatever. T-Bone Humor. Where did you start in material when learning about the private? Wow. I would say private starts with the consciousness, right? So we all have a public and private side. I would say everything is a reflection from within, without. So we all have a private side and we all have a public side. Y'all are viewing my public side, but y'all are hearing my private side, right? It's coming from my consciousness. It's flowing through my natural body. But when it comes to living in the private, that is... I don't know what type of books you'd want to read in contracting, because most of the material out there that is publicly available does not want to teach people how to contract privately outside of corporate jurisdiction codes, policies, and statutes. You can make your own law, you can make your own rules, you can make your own entities that are bound by whatever bylaws, statutes, or whatever codes or commandments that you want, You can create your own rules and regulations, and that's how the games work. So for the private, I think what really hit it off for me was learning about double entry bookkeeping, because the public is bankrupt, and that means that all the assets are in the private, and the best way to embody and understand that there's a private side to the United States is that you can mail. You can send out mail through the Republic by putting non-domestic without the United States general delivery, and you can mail in the Republic for 3 cents anywhere in America. All right. I need to have a court play testing. I have audio, T-Bone, on my class folder of Commerce that has all kinds of court audios and doing courtroom mock trials and stuff like that. I also have some on my website under Commerce court operations that you can listen to. That will help you out a lot. Remy, when the judge said, if I understand, I asked define understand, then I gave her an option. That's awesome. Heck yeah. Yeah, so they do some legalese, and there's not a whole lot of them that are super tricky as far as like understand, which means stand under. There's not a whole lot of those words. Like there's person, which means a corporation, U.S. citizen, which is a trust. There's a few of them, but not a lot of them that are like the sword killing kind of tricky. But understand is one of them. That's a good one. Like I said, they need your consent. So what I suggest is you can always go in there and say, I'm here to effect payment immediately. Where would you like me to sign? Whenever there's an issue, say I'm here as the authorized representative for the estate, here to set off, settle, and close the account. Where do you want me to sign? And if they say, oh, you're not the such and such, say, yeah, I'm the authorized representative for that such and such. I always have been. And if you put a warrant out for the entity, guess who's going to show up? Me, as the authorized representative, every single time. And I'm here right now to set off, settle, and close the account. Where do you want me to sign? But you want to kind of do this stuff in the private, because the judge doesn't want the public hearing this, because if they knew that everything was smoke and mirrors, it would be riots. Like I said, they'd be going crazy. They probably have loved ones in jail, and it's all a commercial affair. Just got to be mindful about how you play your game. How or where do I find all this info? Most of it's on my website. I have this live will be on my YouTube if you want to subscribe to that. The audio of it will be on my Telegram. I have a lot of exclusive content on my website. All this stuff is free for the public through Nature, Spirit, and Commerce, depending on what path you want to take. And take some time, browse around there, look through there, see what fits your fancy, and enjoy the Charles Show, everybody. I said I don't stand under your authority, if that's what you're asking, or if comprehend. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I'm glad you did that, Remy. Saying, Beth, how or where do I go to find all the... Oh, yeah. I think I already answered that. Sorry it took me so long to get to that. I usually spend a little while answering questions, so I'll eventually get to y'all's questions, guys. Sorry. Doesn't the judge, prosecutor, and your attorney have financial interest, and that's grounds for it? Not necessarily financial interest. They're getting paid by the public sometimes if it's a public pretender, and if it's your attorney, the attorney, according to Corpus Juris Secundum, Book 7, under definition of client, their first duty is to the public, and then to the court, then public, and then you, and then the client. Like you're third. You're the lowest on the scrotum pole. Like in the attorney's eyes, and that's why when you start teaching this stuff, I had an attorney come on one of my Sovereign in Court videos and try to say, "Hey, attorney here, yeah, all this stuff sounds great, but," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm setting people free, so." And they're giving me baskets. So if you're going to sit here and try to say that none of this stuff works, then... And he never replied because he knows what time it is. And he's sworn an oath to the public also. He is a British accredited agent, and his duty is to the court and not to the client. That's first and foremost. And they don't want this stuff being preached out there. And TikTok's down with it too. As soon as I did my first Sovereign in Court video, they removed my ability to see who views my profile for some reason, which is a really weird thing to lose. But... they're still letting me roll, so I'm gonna keep rolling. Whatever. I'm at peace. I'm in love. Don't come at me. Conflict of interest. Yeah, it's a conflict of interest in admiralty, and that's what I was telling you. If they're engaged in commerce, you can call them out in that in admiralty, not in on the private side. Publicly, you can't do that. Privately, you can. Let's say everyone learns how to use the triangle and deal with courts and legalize. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, this thing goes beyond courts. I mean, we are the ultimate judge and authority. We are the authors of our life through the contracts that we make. Contracts are enforceable, and they start mentally, and then they come out verbally, and it's not just a piece of paper. Mama. I'm going to start calling, your username's Mama, so hi, Mama. Panic and more move chess pieces. Yeah, that's right. That's how they play. Mama, what would be the bigger picture look like? Well, it depends. Everybody's picture is different. It depends on what you want your picture to be like, It's up to you. Don't tread on me. So they can't convict anyone in traffic court if they don't consent. They can't move forward. They can, okay? So, and here's how this works. And judges, like I said, are trained in this. Anything that happens in a public court case is admissible and considered facts. So, if you stand there as the authorized representative for the entity, and the judge starts making offers over top of you, or trying to speak over top of you, he can move the court to closure, even though you've been there, you've reserved your rights, you're trying to say this, that, and the other. He can start setting another court date. He can start setting out warrants. He can start doing all these things if you don't start conditionally accepting or rebutting or changing the contracts that he's making. And publicly, if he says that you were caught having sex with, freaking potatoes on Wednesday, and you don't rebut that, it's going to stand as a fact in court. So you have to rebut. You have to either conditionally accept, or I don't suggest arguing, because that's an enemy state. And enemies are not granted any remedies during times of war, not like a person that's at peace can, right? When you're a belligerent in combat, like, everything's suspended. The Constitution is suspended, all your rights and remedies and all that's suspended. So that's why you have to come in at peace and in love in order to get the remedy. It's a beautiful system, and it's not an easy game, and it's set up for a reason, because you have to be strong and intelligent and able to embody how to be sovereign, in order to get your remedies. Don't tread on me. So they can't convict. Oh, I already did that. Jarrett, me too. What's going on, you guys? What are y'all talking about? Remy, I thought they get compensated by way of generational skip transfer tax with the bonds and secretary. I don't, unless it's like a private court. I don't think they actually have a direct monetary incentive off of each bond that is created, because whenever there's like a court case, it's got a bid bond, a performance bond, and a payment bond, and I don't think the judge gets a compensation depending on what those bonds are. I think his salary is set by probably, I don't know. That's a good thing to look up. Let's see. What is who determines a judge's salary? Who determines a judge's I spelled it wrong. A judge's compensation. I'm not typing good today, guys. Federal judges' salaries in the United States determined by the United States Congress. That's interesting. I don't know about Supreme and Inferior Court shall hold offices. Judges both. Service compensation. They probably have committees that determine their compensation. And there's laws and codes for all that stuff. Where are we at? All right, so securities and claiming them as abandoned funds after 3 years. Nah, I mean you can do stuff like that. For a lot of stuff, you can claim stuff that is abandoned on the public side and the private side after a certain amount of time. And you are definitely rolling. Is this a good thing, Lance? Are you talking about like weed? Or are you talking about like I'm on a roll as far as like hitting with knowledge? There's a whole different bunch of ways of rolling down the street, you know. All right, don't tread. So when you say set off and settle and close account, how is it settled? With what? So what you do is the authorized representative, just like on each check, is they need your signature, right? They need your signature in order to create the bonds and set off the account. So like I was saying, whenever there is a booking or a charge or a ledgering of an account, there is an account that needs to be satisfied. There's all kinds of ways to do it. You can close it by just straight moving it to equity and like taking control of it and getting. There's a guy that I know of that actually got all the bonds. He got the bond. Well, I don't know if he got all three. I know that he got a bond from it. And I've been trying to reach out to him so I can just talk to him about it more. Or you can just give them the signature, because that's all they need is your agreement and consent in order to monetize through the U.S. citizen. So you come in there, you sign, you say, where do you want me to sign as the authorized representative for the U.S. citizen for y'all to create the commercial affairs to satisfy the books? And you say, where do you want me to sign? You know, but like I said, you got to do this in the private, guys. You can't do this in the public. Like, by no means. You do this in the public, they're going to say you're crazy. They're going to say you're nuts. So you just sign. You just ask them where you want me to sign. It's just like a check, just like a blank check. Like, where you want me to sign, and then we'll just proceed with that. But you got to say, I want to effect payment immediately. Where do you want me to sign? I need those tapes or audios. Yeah, they're all on my website, Jarrett. I got what you're saying. Yeah, you can browse around in my commerce. I got a lot of them in my class folder and a couple in court ops. Remy, I think their retirement is where this goes. Oh, it's possibly. I think that all of the commercial affairs from courts goes to the Crown, because all of the U.S. is set up through. It started off through the UK, through the Crown, and through all the bankruptcies, and they continue to find different ways to funnel funds to the King and to the Crown. So my understanding is that through Puerto Rico, through IRS, through the Treasury headquarters, we're funneling all of the taxes and funds to the King that way, but also court operations, because all of the proof is that an attorney is not allowed to have, and it's in the Constitution, you're not allowed to have a title of nobility granted by the United States. So if the United States did not grant the title of nobility to the attorney, then who did? Guess what? Britain did. It is a British agent. The attorney is a British agent. He is a British agent there to basically fleece the U.S. citizen and funnel funds to the King. Like, that's what he was trained to do. That's what they're there for. And same with the judges and stuff. If you don't move the court, like I say, he's a neutral party where you're allowed to get remedy if you know how to move them in your direction favorably. But like I said, I think I've heard that too, but I wouldn't know how to prove that they're getting retirement accounts from the bonds. Like, that's kind of wild. Oh, I'm hitting the knowledge. Thank Lance. That's why I was wondering when you say I was rolling, man, because it could go all kinds of different directions with that. I thought the judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney all get a cut of bonds. Yeah, it's very possible. Like I said, I don't know how to prove that, because that would definitely be a conflict of interest. If now, here's what I've learned about the public court system, is that it is a machine. And whenever you get in front of a judge, the charge has a monetary value attached to it. All crimes are commercial. What is that, 72 CFR 7211 or something? 27 CFR 7211. When I was in front of the judge, this is when everything kind of locked together and came clear to me. He says, I have to sentence you to this amount. So when you're sitting in front of a judge, he has guidelines. It's just like a machine. It's all set up. All these public policies, codes, and statutes for the U.S. citizen that they're bound by, and has a monetary value to it. Every single charge has a certain amount of money that can be monetized off of it, and guidelines for if you offer your body up as surety for the maturity of the bonds. So yeah, I feel like even if it was a conflict of interest, the judge still is bound publicly by whatever the charge is. So there's no real monetary incentive because, like I said, unless he's going to balance the books off equity, he's going to be going by the public policies, codes, and statutes, which, by the way, guys, they give y'all remedy. If y'all come in there and body stuff and you're in peace and love and you're trying, like I hear about it all the time, people that shouldn't even have gotten a court case dismissed or closed or solved because they were trying and they're coming from love and their heart's pure and they're starting to become awake and all that. Judges will give you remedy sometimes. So the judges, the public policies, codes, and statutes dictate what the charge and time and amount and all that is. They have guidelines. The judge can only move the needle just a little bit left and right. He's bound by it. He's got like horse blinders on. He's just the administrator, right? So there's no real incentive value by maximizing every needle in the public. It's very, very minuscule compared to what the bonds are on the private, and there's no real way to change unless he changes the charge. You take a plea to lower it. If they were all incentivized by getting bonds, then they would never want to offer plea agreements. They would never want to try to reduce sentences or any of that stuff. What happens in the public is kind of garbage compared to what really happens in the private. But I have not heard that. I have heard that they get bonds, but I wouldn't know how to prove it from their retirement. All right, so how do you move in private when it's in public? You have to get the judge. Well, first of all, there cannot be any people behind you. You have to ask the judge to handle stuff in the private. Say, is it wise to handle private matters in the public like this? When it's just you and him in the court, you're basically in a private hearing at that point. Yeah, of course, there might be a sheriff or a cop in there, whatever. But if there's people around you, there's a line of sheep, that's public. That's basically public. When you, even though it's still considered a public court case when it's just you and him, you can invoke slight equity here and there in private because it's just you and him. That's how you move it. Or you do a private administrative procedure with the opposing party outside of court, and you come with a remedy, and you follow that through judges' chambers in order to give the judgment and squash it already before the court even happens. But you still have to show it publicly to move by reference the proceedings and record that you created to make sure it gets closed right. Because you are the court, you got to embody it. So, Remy, there's a form. I forget what it is. You send to the IRS. You can get the request of forms filed under. I'm not sure. I know they have a master file, IMF. No, what is it called? Master file, MF something? I don't know. The IRS are basically just the accountants of all the U.S. citizens' public commercial dealings. Your social. Oh, there's a. All right. So this again. So there's a form. I forget. Request of forms filed under your social. So the public side of the social security is the public side. The Social Security is nothing more than a federal benefits program that makes the U.S. citizen a federal employee. Because there are codes and public policies and statutes that say that any person, which is a corporation, that uses a federal benefits program is considered a federal employee. So the Social Security on the public side is the linchpin that basically creates the U.S. citizen as a federal employee. All right. I heard when you ask the judge, are you administrations? You can. I wouldn't ask him if he's an administrator. He is the administrator. You don't have to ask that. You can. He probably won't say that publicly he is, but he is just the neutral party. But granted, like I said, the judge has. Are you? I'm confused now. You hashtag wrong. He's just the administrator. He's the neutral party, but he has sworn a duty to the public. Cancer. Thanks for the heart. Much appreciated, man. Thanks for joining. Love you as always, my man. Sav, you made it. Oh man, I was talking about fire earlier. You're gonna have to re-listen to this live to catch that, because I talked about the Jungle Book and the animal having power over the fire flower, or the red flower, whatever it's called. So, guys, this audio, like I said, will be on my YouTube if you want to listen to it. The video will be on my YouTube. The audio will be on my Telegram group. All my social media is linked on my website. My website is located on my profile page of TikTok. You can browse through my website. It has all kinds of exclusive content on there to help you re-educate yourself. I suggest watching the playlist on my profile. It'll help you out too. All that stuff. What's up, Sav? How you doing, buddy? Like I said, man, you gotta listen to that part, because it's pretty good about being one with fire and the Creator and stuff. Because you had talked about it last week. Don't tread on me. I'm challenging jurisdiction on October 4th, pre-trial for district court. Already reserved my rights. So you typically got to reserve your rights when you walk into the court, or through the bar. Before you walk through the bar, you have to reserve your rights. Jay, you've never seen my website? It's linked on my profile page of TikTok. You just go on click my little emblem, and it'll be linked right there. And you can browse around and do whatever you want. The man in. I saw a video between a woman and a judge, and the judge was making all those offers with court dates. Yeah, they're just offers that you can accept. You can stay silent. So there's two acceptances and two ways to basically not accept. There's two honorable and two dishonorable. If the judge is making court dates and you're just staying silent, then it's going to stand as a fact. If you have to move the court to set off, settle, and close the account however you want, however you see fit. If you let the judge do whatever, then you basically say, all right, well, if you're not going to allow me to, as the authorized representative for this citizen, then I'm going to allow you to be the authorized representative for citizen. And that means that you will basically embody any lawsuits, obligations, any liens, any encumbrances, any charges that the U.S. citizen occurs. You think the judge is going to accept that? I bet you he won't stay silent on that. But you can definitely say stuff like that if he tries to go over you or disregard the stuff that you've said, because it's all a game. It's a court game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Anything that he says is an offer, and you can conditionally accept. But like I said, there's mock trials, and I can also DM you back if you have some issues. And I have had. So guys, there's this thing going out. This guy, he's claiming he's building houses from people being secured party creditor, and it seems extremely scammy and extremely gimmicky. And I went on his live, and for 30 minutes, but it was like 4 in the morning. I was like half asleep listening, and it was like he talked for 30 minutes, and nothing was really said of value. And then anybody who had any questions, he's like, I don't handle that. I got a guy over here that can handle it. Yeah, so to get your paperwork. And it's like, oh, okay. So he's selling his buddy's services to help you get secured party creditors so he can, quote unquote, build you the house of your dreams or whatever. And it's like, it just seems so scammy. I don't get it. And then there's another guy trying to claim that you can put someone else's property in trust. Yeah, it might cause some issues in the legal system for a little while, but that's not your property. He's like, I'm getting evicted from my apartment, and he sent me a video, and this guy was saying that you can put your apartment in trust, and you will beat the eviction charges, and you can stay in there for free for a year. And it was like, I'm like, what? First of all, the apartment isn't even the landlord's, because he doesn't own true title to it. First and foremost, boom. All right. If the landlord doesn't pay taxes on that building's getting taken from him. Okay. Whenever you put something in trust, you want to have true title to it. And when I say true, that means wholesome, allodial, controlling title. If you're gonna put something in trust, have true title to it. And if not, there's underlying duties, obligations, and somebody can mess with it, infringe it, and break the corporate veil. So have true title to it, put it in a trust, and then it's basically locked solid. This guy sent me a video that said you can put your apartment into a trust and you won't get evicted. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, no. And I'm like, no, stop, man. Just it hurts my head. I'm like, yeah, you might be able to slow down the court case a little bit with that mess, but any judge that starts looking at the facts, like, you can't put someone else's property Yeah, you're just the tenant into a trust, and then beat a case for an eviction. Like, I don't get it sometimes, guys. You know, I love y'all, but daggone, man, it's an endless battle when I got people believing that kind of stuff. If you're not going to listen to the foundations that I'm laying that you can build upon and that can't be shooken, you know, then you'll fall for anything. So lay the foundations. Listen to my playlist. Lay the foundations. Learn what it takes to embody being sovereign on this earth, and move on. I got a storm coming. It's finally starting to rain a little bit. All right, so yeah, you got to reserve your rights before crossing the bar. Don't tread on me. Hold on, where are we at? Blah, 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 blah. Don't tread on me. I sent in certified papers reserving my rights, and oh my gosh, buddy, no, you don't ever say you're sovereign on paper. You don't. A sovereign doesn't say it. A sovereign is through actions. Actions speak louder than words. And I'll give you an example. You can go into an interview for a job for building skyscrapers, right? And you can say, yeah, I'm a master architect, and you've got all this great references, all this great stuff on the paper, right? When you sit down for the interview, the guy's going to say, what grade of steel would you import for China for these members? And you would be like, okay, what class bolt are you going to use? Are you going to use rivets? Are you going to hot? You know, you start asking all these questions. It doesn't matter what your paper says. He's going to quiz you. A sovereign will never walk in court and say, I'm sovereign. The judge knows you're sovereign. A sovereign will never walk in court and say, I'm not a U.S. citizen, and show the birth certificate. The judge knows you're not a birth certificate. The judge knows you're not a corporation. The judge knows all this stuff. But the judge also has to protect the public. And if you're going to do anything that's going to mess up that system publicly, he's going to beat your throat in with a box cutter. You know, like you've got to be peaceful and loving and understand the system. And that's why I've gone full circle with this triangle, man. I'm telling you. There's a reason why there's a circle there. And the triangle goes in and out of it, because I've gone full circle within and without, and I understand it all. And you have to be at peace and in love within and with all, with everybody, man. It's just how the system works. All of this law, all of the admiralty, the common law, the equity, the spiritual nature and commerce, it's all there and in place for a reason. They all have their specific jurisdictions and rules and matters and reign, and a lot of people are bound by it and want to be bound by it. They need to be bound by it. They lean on it. It's their crutch. That's their safety. That's their little pillow that keeps them all comfy at night, is knowing that the big bad government's out there protecting them and keeping them safe and all that. When my eyes have surely seen that ain't the case, like at all with the government. But anyway, the man. And she asked the judge, are you administrating my trust without my consent? And he immediately said, no. That's awesome. I've seen a video and I started watching it for a long time. And I saw where this girl, you know, when you try and you're in there and you're shaking and you're stuttering and you're reading off paper and you can't answer questions right, and you're taking up all this time of the judge. You start to upset him, because you're there for an interview, and that interview, you're trying to show him that you embody what it means to be the sovereign on this earth, and you control all law. All law flows through you, right? If you're not embodying that, and you're stuttering, you're like, and you're just taking up 20, 30, 45, 50 minutes of the judge's time, you're gonna upset him. You know, he's a human. He's there. He's got a job. His job is to protect the public and allow you as a gatekeeper to get remedy if you can embody stuff properly. But you got to do what it takes. It just is what it is. I think I've seen that video too, where he dropped the court date and everything. He said before that she stayed persistent, and a lot of times he who leaves the battlefield first is the loser, right? And she stayed on her ground, and she stuck it. It's all about stakes and claims and what you can prove, right? And that's why some people will get remedy. And in my eyes, sometimes I'll be like, man, I don't know how they got remedy. But sometimes judges feel compassion because they want people to be at love and educated and not leaning on the government for everything. They want people to be at peace and try to come from harmony and understand the system. The system is geared and dedicated to train, trade, and raise up people to be very uneducated, not thinking outside of the box, and just become corporate workers for the elites. So, all right, where are we at? Tall Kings, put on them? What? Why do you say put on them? Jimmy, can I fight child support arrears? Son did not live with the mother either. When there's a human that has to be raised, the state does not like raising children. They just don't. Even though, in theory, Federal Reserve Notes is the state's money. They don't want to use their bank account. They want to use the U.S. citizen's bank account. So whenever dealing with a child, I always suggest for the parents of the child to come up with a reasonable, conclusive agreement outside of court and not go through the court system. The court system will railroad you if you try to use them, because they, just don't let someone else be your judge. You and your spouse are to be the sovereigns that come up with the treaties and the agreements and the peace and the love to raise a human that, hey, y'all may or may not have agreed to have the child, but y'all agreed to go through the motions of creating the child, right? A lot of guys want to have the fun without paying the oven that cooked the bun, but that's what happens when y'all bring a child into this world. Someone's going to have to take the effort, time, and money to raise that kid, and the best way is to come in a peaceful agreement with the opposing party, which is the spouse, that has 50% rights, claims, titles, and duties to that property, aka the child. They have half right say, and you have half right say, and typically the needle will be tipped towards the mother for granting custody, because they have the milk and the love and the time and effort and dedication, and their nurturing and caring for the child. So, Tall Kings, bunch of laughy faces. Okay, what? I don't know. Neo Automation. Your vibration is so high, I can see it by the way you express yourself. Thank you, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, it is Friday and I'm kind of tired, but it's who I am. I'm trying to just kind of convey what's going on in this brain of mine outwardly, and it's hard sometimes to find the right words. But all right, the man. It's insane how people think they are their name and surname. Yeah, we're not the written word. We're not the written name that was given to us or put on a piece of paper. You're so much more than that, and it's not people's fault. It's just they have been brought up and taught by a system that does not want them to be free and educated. They want everybody to be in boxes and dumb and just smart enough to push buttons, levers, and go out there and work until you die, and just be someone else's corporate slave, and that's unfortunately how education works. Is a lot of this stuff, guys. Look, this triangle that was revealed to me, if I didn't reveal it to y'all wouldn't know it, right? I'm teaching y'all this. I'm showing y'all this. The same thing happens with the education system. If you're going to lean on the public, for-profit, commercial education system to train you and bring you up, their job is not to set you free. Their job is not to show you how to become the super sovereign on this earth. That's not what you do to your employees. You don't want to tell them how they can be free from your system when you at the top want them to be your workers so that you can keep making profit, right? So you have to educate yourself. For instance, all this information is out there, guys, for me, for free to you on my website that y'all can browse around and learn all this stuff on your own if you want to. It's up to y'all. We have to educate ourselves and govern ourselves, or others will do it for us. And that's why the maxims are out there. Govern yourself, or it will be done for you. Don't tread on me. So I should challenge jurisdiction by stating I can't continue because if you want to invoke common law, you can. Don't tread on me. It's up to you. You can invoke any of the jurisdictions you want. You can invoke your own law. You can come in as the sovereign, bringing in the republic or your own land or any jurisdiction that you want. You can create your own law, and you can bind the judge into it. And that's what air equity is all about. Bringing in your own law, like settling and squashing that junk. Neo Automaton 76. If we had the eyes to see, you blind us all. I think I appreciate that you can see what's going on with me. I appreciate that. I'm trying not to blind people because everybody's kind of babes in my eyes. They need to have tiny little spoon feeds, because I don't want to drown y'all. I'm trying to trickle feed, and that's why I created the playlist that I did on foundation, nature, and spirit, because you want to lay foundations first. Now, that's how I started the commercial aspect of this right here. Was the girl Bree was trying to tell people, You can just hop in your car and travel around and you don't need a license. And I'm like, you're getting ready to send people to jail. All right, yes, okay, some of them are awake, but they don't know how to set off, settle, and close accounts for court. They don't know how to be their own government. They don't know why licensing works and all these foundational stuff that is really important to know before you travel without a license, or the citizen travels without a license. Most of these people think they are U.S. citizens. It's like, it's just a tool that you can use. You can't be that. All right, Sav, the citizen is the person in the mirror. It's the commercial entity. The person in the mirror is a reflection of the natural body. The person on the private of the inside of the mirror is your spiritual body. And what's so cool about commerce, the commercial body, Mammon Moses, is spirit and nature can't do nothing without commerce, but commerce can't do nothing without spirit or nature. And that's why the Creator doesn't want you to serve Mammon. Yes, you can't do anything without it, all right? You can't move, you can't talk, you can't walk, you can't... Okay, great. But guess what? Mammon can't do nothing without you. So, guess what? Do not serve that commercial master, okay? Serve the one that is above all and creates all and flows all. That's why the Creator warns us in all these things. That's why I try to continue to release things on different levels. And if you have eyes to see and you're able to put puzzle pieces together, I'm releasing a lot of cool stuff that if you go through the videos, you can actually start to build bigger pictures of the puzzle. Thanks the Vision Syndicate. Don't tread on me. I want to authenticate my BC and cancel all contracts and become a state national. Is there from this? Okay, you don't have to do any of that stuff, first of all. You don't have to authenticate your BC. You don't have to cancel all contracts. Now, you can cancel all contracts because you are the ultimate authority and you have the unlimited ability to contract however you want. Okay? That's all. That's up to you, however you want. If you want to, I suggest watching the playlist on my profile, okay, and for authenticating the birth certificate. Watch the one, I think it's, golly, man, I make so many now. I think it's Commerce 2 or 3 or something, that the 10 things that a birth certificate is. Then in Status and Standing, it'll explain the 2 reasons to authenticate your birth certificate. But there's not a whole lot of reasons to authenticate your birth certificate. A state national is just a corporation that you can use as a tool also, okay? Now, the state national is outside of U.S. jurisdiction, and that's why I try to tell everybody, do not use Federal Reserve notes. On my last live, I had somebody saying, oh, you're saying never to use Federal notes. No, you can use Federal Reserve notes. The U.S. citizen can use Federal Reserve notes. I'm not saying never not use it, never not engage in it. I'm just saying if you're going to try to represent a state national and you're going to mess with someone else's property like that, like a Federal Reserve note, be very, very careful, because you can get, it's someone else's, you're giving up jurisdiction if you're engaged in that type of manner. A state national would want to trade and barter and deal in silver and commodities and stuff like that, not deal with that worthless Federal Reserve note. Now, you can do it in trust. A state national is a corporation that can be the trustee of another trust and can deal in that manner. The state national could be the trustee of the U.S. citizen, and you could do it in that manner also. It's all about contracts and all about business and how you do your commercial affairs. That's how you're taxed. You're not taxed on who you are, which, hey, man, it was so hard to not put Bree Divine back in her place again with our last video. Well, not our last one, but the one that went almost viral. Like, to date, my most popular video is my EMF blocking thing, and it has 500,000 views. This girl put out one that has 850,000 views, and she's talking crazy. Like, you're not taxed on who you are. She's like, I'm exempt from taxes because I'm a human, and everybody's eating this stuff up, and it's like, that's not how the system works. Like, I'm so tempted, but I'm doing commercial or spiritual stuff right now, so that's what my videos are, for example. But I'm so tempted to just get on there and just, I love her, but she's, man, anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop being bugged about that. All right, don't tread on me. Sounds like a good retort. Don't tread on me. Benefits from this. Benefits from what? From being from creating the national corporation. Is that what you're talking about? Don't tread on me. I've actually had a. I haven't watched Sav. I haven't watched all the rest of that Tree of Life yet. But the benefits of being a national is you get to be self-governing, and you get to be responsible, and you get to operate an entity that is outside of U.S. jurisdiction, that can hold true title to property should you so choose. A national can hold a passport. A national can operate basically their own property, like travel around in a vehicle and stuff like that. So it's a great tool. You have to have an interface between you and the public. You either have to use an agent to be your interface for the public, and the agent is going to have a corporation, or you can use your own corporation, but you've got to have some type of dead entity to interface with the public with. That's just how it works, because they are bankrupt dead entities. So, and I've thought about making a video on the pros and cons of being a national versus a citizen, this, that, and the other. And I might do that because I've had a couple of requests on that. But they're both just tools. You can use them. It's up to you how you want to use them. You can engage in commerce however you want. Unlimited ability to contract. Unlimited ability to, you're the author. You get to create anything. So it's pretty cool. This stuff's fun, once you start getting it all. But it can be very, very overwhelming due to the amount of sleep people and how many people are bound by and sleeping in the system. All right. But yeah, I want to talk about the Tree of Life. I haven't finished watching that video, and started watching. It seemed pretty good so far. And it's basically flipping the triangle. So this is a tetrahedron that can be flipped upside down, and they both have public and private. And you're inside with the Creator, and you're in peace and in love, and you're one as a fractal of Him, and you can embody all of this stuff. So this stuff gets deep, but I haven't gotten there yet, right? So we're just taking like little baby steps, slowly, and I'm still battling all day. I can preach until I'm blue in the face, and people, it just goes right over their head. Like I try to lay all these foundations, and then they come back and say stuff like, "Hey, yeah, I want to put my apartment in trust so I can beat eviction," and it's like, man, watch my videos, please. Oh, I don't have time. Well, all right. Well, if you don't have time to learn what I teach, then how are you going to embody what the truth is, or at least my best interpretation of the truth, right? So this stuff is divinely revealed through me, guys. Like, this is very powerful stuff, what I'm laying down. Like I said, it can't be broken. It can't be shook. It can't be shaken. That's why it's important to lay these foundations. And that's why when Bree started trying to send people out to get arrested, I wanted to intervene. And again, she just released another video where she's going to get people hurt trying to tell the IRS they're humans and they don't have to pay taxes. And I'm like, here you go again. Like come on. It's just so frustrating. Anyway, so tax is because Federal Reserve notes are private debt instruments. We are basically renting them. Is that right? Remy Code. So here's how systems work. You get to control what you create. You didn't create the Federal Reserve System. You didn't create the Federal Reserve note. It's a medium of exchange that a bankrupt corporation is using as a fiat currency that is backed by a human's promise to pay one day. Okay? The Federal Reserve note is both public and private, but it is debt. It is debt. It is not. The public holds debt in the public. Assets are in the private. The public is bankrupt and can only hold debt. That's why the U.S. citizen who is a franchise of the U.S. who is bankrupt cannot hold assets. Okay? So the public is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve note, it says on it, it is good for debts. It is good for debt. Period. It should just say period there. It's good for debt. Public and private. It is good for private debt because there's a private side to it that's underwriting it. But it is just a promise to pay one day. That never comes. That is what a Federal Reserve note is. Now, when you're using someone else's system, you must understand their system in order to engage in it properly, or you're going to fall for all the tricks, and traps. So, you are not taxed on who you are. You're taxed on how you do business. And it's as simple as that. That is it. It doesn't matter how or what you want or how things work, whatever. If you're going to use someone else's system, that is how it was set up. But guess what? You can engage in for-profit, no, not for-profit. You can engage in public commerce in a federal zone and not be taxed if you are using the Federal Reserve notes not for profit. And they tell you that. The IRS system is a very honorable system. If you're not trying to get profit, which means you're trying to hide money and trying to move it in ways where nobody can see and stuff like that, they won't tax you. Or if you're bartering or trading, or if you're doing services out, and donating and stuff like that, it's a tricky trap. So you got to be careful. But basically, a Federal Reserve note, if you're going to be engaged in that type of system and messing with it, and then guess what, guys? Most of the stuff's digital anyway. Everybody's talking about being scared of this new digital money and stuff. It's like 99% of the time, everything that I do, it's digital. It's all card. It's all transactions on the phone. It's all like hidden anyway. It's captured. The first two things that go away whenever a country gets invaded is the truth and the money. And when the U.S. got invaded and took over, the military war script is the money went away, and now we have military war script, and the truth goes right out the window. So everything that the public media and everybody out there is teaching and preaching, they don't want. And the reason why the money goes out of the way is because they want to know what their enemies are doing, right? So the U.S. citizen is an enemy. So when they release the military war script, and if you look in your banking account information, it's becoming more and more prevalent that they are categorizing and putting identification brackets on everybody in their transactions to see what you're engaged in all the time. I can look on my bank account, and it says I took $20 out from the ATM. And it's like it's all right there. Everything is in the banking system and it's being monitored. But that's what happens when a country gets invaded. The U.S. was invaded and is taken over by the British Crown. And they basically want to know every single transaction that the enemies are involved in. That's why they want you to be licensed. That's why they want to use Federal Reserve notes. And it's all digital, and it all goes through tracking and systems and stuff like that. So, all right. So, Sav. The citizen is a token on a game board called the U.S. Yes, it is. It's a tool, man. It's a tool that you can engage. It's a very unique tool. It's an individual trust that has the ability to do all kinds of things. It's just an entity. It can hold, split title. Whenever you're dealing in a split title, that's trust. That's why you got to learn trust law. But all right, Lance. We are all responsible for our individual ignorance, but it feels the same about misinformation. Yeah, so one of the problems with misinformation, as soon as you start becoming awake a little bit, everything seems so intriguing and amazing because it's like everything I ever knew was false. And so now all these rabbit trails are so amazing and interesting to go down, but a lot of them have a lot of false information. And that is why foundations are so very important, because once you start laying the foundations, you can build upon it, having the truth and the knowledge and the life and the light, so that if something out of left field just doesn't kind of seem right after you've tested it some, you're able to run it through the ringer and test it and try it, like through fire. So everything is supposed to be tried through fire, through us, right? Through the furnace. And if it holds up through the fire triangle, and it comes on the other side, and it's still truth and the light and love, it's good. It's good to go, right? So you got to try everything, and that's what happens with a lot of this misinformation. Is we try to move really quick and we just take stuff for face value, and it is our inherent nature to empathetically believe everything that people say, and the reason for that is they've done studies, and if the person is believing what they're saying, the most powerful energy when trying to convey stuff is from someone who is being authentic. And that is why we all get deceived so easily, is because a lot of these people that are teaching this stuff believe it with their heart, mind, and body and soul, and they're trying to convey it out to convince other people, even though it's false information, right? And we have this humane ability that just wants to believe everything. And that's why it is easier to deceive someone than it is to convince them that they have been deceived. And I will say it again. It is easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them and show them that they have been fooled. But guess what? Once you start realizing that you've been tricked and you start opening your eyes, a lot of things become real clear. But again, 101, lay foundations. Start from foundations. Break down a system. That's how I can tell you what a Federal Reserve note. I didn't read all of what I just said about what a Federal Reserve note is from a computer screen or from a piece of paper. I embodied it because I know what foundations are. I know how the system is. I know how to break stuff down to its simplest element form so that you're able to grow from it and learn from it and stuff. That's why I can't be shaken. And if I have someone trying to come at me and shake me, I'm going to try it. I'm going to test it. I'm going to see if it's, if somebody's going to say, give me a secured party creditor packet and I'll build you a house, I'm like, That sounds so ridiculously nuts that I don't know who would fall for that. It just seems so crazy. And, you know, I have, if somebody goes through it and says it's fine and it's true, cool. Prove to me how it's true, because my understanding of secure party creditor is garbage. All right, Sav, there are two differences. Oh, yeah, avoidance, not evasion. That's right. Remy, tax avoidance is not a crime. Tax evasion is. That is absolutely correct. You can use that system. You can use the Federal Reserves. It's just a tool too. You know, it's very powerful. And I said, I think in my fifth day video, the same $100 bill could be used to buy a prostitute. It could be used to buy cocaine. It could be used to help a homeless person. You could use it to roll up into an airplane and throw in a toilet. You can feed a hamster with it. You can make it's just a tool, depending on how you use it. Like, a lot of things are neutral, and we assign our beliefs to it, and that's what gives it the energy and the allotment that we view through our lens of light in our life. You know. All right. There are two differences: the United States and then the United States of America. Yeah, there's even more than that. The U.S. too is another entity, just United, or just the U.S. So it's like there's a lot of entities. Tony, secondly, have done PAP procedure using writs and sending to judge. So if you've gotten the opposing party into a private administrative procedure agreement that says that the issue is no longer there, then you can either record it in the public, or you can, if you've come from the republic in the private, you want to put it through a letters rogatory and then show up into the proceedings to have, by reference, closing of the higher court's decision, which is you, for the matter. Turtle Soup. So are you filing 709 and 706 posts with Ben instead of 1040 on W4? My U.S. citizen files a 1040 for, you know, when there's a tax liability. Bloody Thick Family. Wow, you have great info. IMO, just need to tune in. I hear a misfire. Try everything. What? Wow, I don't know about that, dude, or homegirl, or person, human. Thirdly, have you ever worked under sheriff and placed a bench warrants? No, I've never worked under sheriff, and I've heard of bench warrants, but I'm not super well versed on that. So sorry, Tony. Sav, life has to be back engineered. Yeah, it does. Well, we've all been taught wrong, you know, and that's just part of the system. It's, you know, you can blame our parents, and you can blame their parents, and blame, you know, on and on, or we can blame ourselves. You know, one of the worst things that we can do our entire life is just claim that we're victims and we're powerless. But really, the truth is that we are the ultimate authorities over our entire conscious body and mind, and control everything. You know, so. You know, once you get out of the victim mentality and start getting into the I'm the sovereign and embodying through your energy, thoughts, and consciousness and light, you can start to shape your reality through all the contracts that you keep on a day-to-day basis. Blood Thick. Promissory notes. Oh, sorry, Lance. The castle is only as strong as the foundation. Yes, thank you, Lance. 100. I agree with that. Bloody Thick. Promissory notes are the carrots to the long bow of my oppressors. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I'm about to wrap up, guys. If you want to listen to this live, it'll be on my YouTube. The audio will be on my Telegram group. You can subscribe to all of them. All of my social media links are on my website. My website is located on my TikTok profile page. On my website, I have exclusive esoteric and occult knowledge and information that I learned throughout my entire last 10, 11 years or whatever that y'all can browse around for free if you want. Remy, I'm actually going to try that. Okay. The secured party, I've been learning about that for a while now. Still need more. Remy, the secured party creditor is a garbage process. I have a free course on my website if you want to go through it. I paid $1,000 for it. I eventually learned that you can't take the U.S. citizen out of the public, like control it. It's not yours to control. You control what you create. The state created that. That is their entity. It's just a tool that you can use, and you don't have to use it. It's up to you. But I would let Caesar have what Caesar created. I went full circle with it and realized that you're not taxed on who you are. You're taxed on how you do business. The U.S. citizen is just a tool that you can use. You don't have to use it. It's like simple foundations that I lay. Don't turn to me. What about 3949A form to make prosecutor produce his taxes in court? Case dismissed. Why would you want the prosecutor to produce his taxes in court? That's not what's on. That has nothing to do with typically the matter at hand. Now, yes, you can move the court in any direction you want, but they're not there to dispute the taxes of the prosecutor. Now you can hand out W-9s and try to say that you want the tax identification number of everybody involved in this court case in case stuff goes sour. Now you can do something like that, but trying to ask the prosecutor to produce his taxes because you're there on a traffic violation is like saying to the prosecutor, "What's the can of paint in China that's red, blue, 69? What does that cost?" Like. It's like, what? Why? Like, it has nothing to do with anything. Like, that's crazy. It's like smoke and mirrors. That's what the judges do, though. I mean, you could try it, but it's not, in my opinion, the best route. Bashir Brown, do I have to be private in order to 1099 bill? No, you can be a public. You can create a public trust to be a 1099 employee. But if you're trying to do a bill, a debt, you can do a 1099 on a debt if you get the opposing party into agreement that says that you can control the debt. Or if it's a bill, I wouldn't do a 1099 on a bill. You can do a grantee acceptance on it and send it to the Treasury to set off, settle, and close. Jarrett, what state are you in, brother? I'm in VA, Virginia. Virgin, yeah. I love ya. Your BC entity is a descendant. We should be filing taxes as such. I don't know if I'd be filing as a descendant. So you want to be careful with anybody teaching you to be the executor or a deceased entity, because when you start putting out public information that says that the U.S. citizen is dead and you're the executor, then you can no longer, or you should no longer engage in any more new public profit commercial affairs, because that means you are committing treason. You're lying. You said the entity is dead, and now you're getting a new car loan, or you're opening up a new bank account, or you're trying to get a credit card. All that stuff would be illegal at that point once you publicly produce documentation that says you're the executor or that the state is dead. Remy, you check into it. All right, buddy. Just duplicate the same tool. Yeah, you can create something just like the U.S. citizen. So here's how the U.S. citizen works: is it has 4 liens on it off the gate. It has a federal lien, a state lien, a medical lien, and a Social Security lien on it from the gate. Now, when you create your own trust, if you're going to be engaged in public commerce, right, and you're going to register it to do public business, it has a higher tax liability typically if you're engaged in for-profit, because it doesn't have all those liens on it. So, like I said, we aren't taught all these things, but it just depends on how you do business. Now, you can create your own trust that is outside of all jurisdictions, and it's sovereign, and it deals and trades and barters in commodities, and there's no taxes. So it's up to you how you do your business. Lance, you're welcome. Tread, they don't pay in taxes on bonds. I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Because, and this blew my mind, all of the courts and all of the basically branches of the government are not profit. All of the entities from the U.S. that are out there doing the affairs of the United States are not profit entities, so they don't have to pay taxes. And that blew my mind. I thought for sure they were all profit, but then it makes sense to me. They're all not for profit. They're all set up to funnel money to the crown, and they don't pay taxes because their job is to get money to funnel to the crown. So it would just be like double sending money to the crown. It's crazy. Don't trade me. They don't pay taxes on mine. Nope. Blood thick property of I for public use is not a gift, so it needs to pay taxes. The 1040 is a gift voucher that you give to the crown. All right, guys, I'm about to wrap up. I hope you enjoy your Friday. This live will be on my YouTube. Check out my website for all kinds of content. I love you. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm getting ready to get hit by some stormy weather here, and I will see y'all later. All right, guys, love you.